So DNRS doesn't heal people, but it helps people to access their body's innate ability to heal, which I think is an incredible thing. Hello my friends, today I'm excited to share with you my experience with doing DNRS for a chronic illness that I have called Dysautonomia, or POTS, which stands for Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. So let's start with talking about what dysautonomia is. So dysautonomia is a disorder of the autonomic nervous system. When you look up dysautonomia, one of the first things that will pop up is a message from the NIH, and it says dysautonomia refers to a disorder of the autonomic nervous system function that generally involves failure of the sympathetic or parasympathetic components of the autonomic nervous system. So basically dysautonomia is a problem with the nervous system. The nervous system is the control center of the body, and so all the different functions of your body rely on your nervous system to control it and to regulate your heart rate, your blood pressure, your cardiovascular system, your immune system, your gastrointestinal system, your endocrine system. Pretty much any important function of your body is related to the nervous system. So as you can imagine, the health of your nervous system is very, very important. The diagnosis of POTS or dysautonomia doesn't really describe why you're having those symptoms. It's really just a label for a syndrome that's happening in your body. Your body's nervous system isn't functioning properly if you have dysautonomia or POTS. I don't know that I've ever met somebody with chronic illness that didn't have some degree of nervous system dysregulation, that they weren't stuck in this constant state of fight or flight. So our nervous system has sort of a few different modes. So there's the rest and digest and parasympathetic mode, and then there's the fight or flight or sympathetic mode, and then there's freeze and dorsal vagal shutdown. And so when our body becomes stuck in fight or flight or freeze or shutdown, then basically all other systems of our body can go on the back burner. And so as you can see, when our nervous system isn't functioning properly, that can cause very, very severe real physical illness. There's a quote that I really love, and I'll put it up on the screen here, but it says something to the effect of the nervous system unlocks the key to the body's ability to heal, or something like that. And so this is something that modern medicine largely does not discuss, does not incorporate, and I think that's very unfortunate because our bodies have this amazing innate ability to heal. But if you can imagine, if you're stuck in fight or flight, your body feels like you're being chased by a tiger constantly, and your body is constantly in this hypervigilant mode where you're just focusing on survival. So things like your GI function, your immune function, your cardiovascular function, your endocrine function, pretty much any system of the body will be put on the back burner. That will not be functioning properly. When you think about it that way, you can kind of understand why a lot of people with chronic illness will kind of start with one issue, and then like they'll start having more and more systems of their body malfunction. This is something that happened with me, and I know it happens with a lot of people with chronic illness. So back to DNRS. So DNRS is a brain retraining program that stands for Dynamic Neural Retraining System. And so basically the goal with DNRS is to signal safety to the brain, to rewire the brain so that it can get to this state of healing so that your body can heal itself. The DNRS program involves visualization, so it has you do an hour a day of past and future visualization. So you're visualizing out loud a healthy, joyful self with both past and future memories. And then there's a series of steps for brain retraining that you do before those visualizations. It also incorporates letting go of limiting beliefs. So allowing yourself to believe that healing is possible for you. It also involves elevating your state of emotion, so making a conscious effort throughout the day, trying to do things that bring you joy and elevate your state of emotion. So it's not just the 1 hour a day that you're doing with DNRS, it's basically you're changing your whole mindset, you're changing how you view chronic illness, you're changing your thoughts and belief system. They recommend doing the program for at least 6 months, but a lot of people that I've talked to that have healed and recovered really say that doing at least a year can create more lasting and impactful changes for healing. And I think when people hear brain retraining, they often can feel triggered, like, my illness is real, it's physical, it's not in my head. And yes, it is, it absolutely is, but our brains have this amazing innate ability to physically heal our bodies. And I think sometimes that can be a difficult thing to explain because it's not something that we're used to being taught about. Personally, I think brain retraining should be a first line of treatment for dysautonomia or POTS, because the definition of dysautonomia is that your nervous system isn't functioning properly, and that can be addressed without things like beta blockers or drugs. Those might help with symptoms and be sort of like a band-aid over the problem, but it really is possible to heal from dysautonomia, to help your body come back into a state of homeostasis. So now I'll share a little bit about my experience with doing DNRS for dysautonomia. If you guys have been around for a while, you'll know that POTS isn't the only chronic illness that I've been diagnosed with. I have a pretty long laundry list of conditions that I was diagnosed with, but for this video specifically, I want to focus on dysautonomia and the symptoms that have improved for me with doing DNRS. So I started DNRS about 9 months ago now, and it's completely changed my life, and I have learned so much from it. I do want to be clear that I'm doing other things while doing DNRS. Before I started DNRS, I had already made a lot of progress in my healing journey. I started a carnivore animal-based diet in August of 2021, and then I started DNRS about 8 months later. And at that point, I had made a lot of progress in my healing. I had gone from, maybe spending 1 hour out of bed a day to spending 4 to 6 hours out of bed a day, and I was able to cook my own meals and stuff like that. When I started DNRS, I was still having a lot of pretty severe POTS and dysautonomia related symptoms even after changing my diet, and I felt really drawn to DNRS. I had read Annie's book, I'd listened to podcasts, I had read other books about neuroplasticity, and anyways, so within about 3 or 4 weeks of starting DNRS and being very consistent about doing what the program asks you to do, within 3 or 4 weeks I walked to my mailbox for the first time, which this is our driveway right behind here. Our driveway was really long, and then like a week or two later I walked a mile for the first time, and I had really quick progress with DNRS, but it really varies from person to person how quick your progress is going to be. Some people don't see any progress for months, some people see little shifts in the beginning, some people see really big shifts in the beginning. I think it really makes a difference like what sort of mindset you go into doing DNRS with, whether you actually believe that this is going to help you to heal or not. That can make a big difference in progress. But I do want to share, I have a list here of all of the POTS related symptoms that have improved for me since starting DNRS. So, increased ability to walk and to stand. I'm able to stand for a really long time, which before I started DNRS, I still couldn't stand still for longer than like a minute without feeling like I was gonna pass out. So that has improved greatly. My walking distance has improved. I have seen improvements in brain fog, in dizziness, in tachycardia, with headaches and migraines. I've seen improvements in my fatigue. I've seen improvements in my light and noise sensitivity, which, by the way, are very big indicators of nervous system dysregulation. If you have light and noise sensitivity, then that's a pretty clear indicator that your body is stuck in that fight or flight mode, because you're having that hypervigilant response to light and to noise. I've seen improvements in my sleep, in my ability to exercise. As you guys just saw in my last video, I went climbing for the first time recently, and I've been able to do exercise. Just overall ability to do things. I've also seen improvement in my chronic overall body pain, inflammation, joint pain. I feel a lot safer in my body. When I was really sick, something I struggled a lot with was just feeling so unsafe in my body. And I just want to say, if you're having severe chronic illness symptoms, then it's not your fault that you feel unsafe in your body. None of this is your fault, but there is something that you can do about it. There are things that you can do to heal and to recover. Here are some of the biggest milestones I've had: walking a mile for the first time in over 5 years, walking through the airport for the first time without a wheelchair, traveling across the country, being able to drive myself much more often. I had my first fever actually a couple months into DNRS. I got the virus, and while I was very sick, I never was able to get like a common cold or a fever, and that's a sign that your immune system isn't functioning properly. And you know what controls the function of your immune system? Your nervous system. And so I've seen overall like improvement in my immune function as well, which is really cool. Basically what I've learned from doing DNRS has brought me so much healing and helped me to realize that my body has an incredible ability to heal. And I think there are definitely cons to the DNRS program, and I'll do another video about this in the future, but I want to be clear that doing DNRS is not the only way to rewire your brain. It's not the only way to heal using neuroplasticity, but it is very helpful for people who don't know where to start with implementing things that are going to help regulate your nervous system and guide your body into a state where you can start to heal. So I really do recommend doing a program like DNRS or GUPTA if it's at all possible, because I think it's a really good starting place to learn kind of the foundation of how the nervous system affects our overall health. And I think both DNRS and GUPTA do a good job at explaining the scientific research and background behind what they're having you do to rewire your brain. I'll put the links to the websites of DNRS and GUPTA in the description down below. I'm really glad that I did DNRS, but I think some people get trapped in this mindset of like DNRS is like the only way to heal, or DNRS is claiming to heal people, and that's not what it's about. It's a course to teach you how to rewire your brain so that you can heal. So DNRS doesn't heal people, but it helps people to access their body's innate ability to heal, which I think is an incredible thing. There are sort of some pitfalls of the DNRS program, and so if you're going into DNRS, I would just recommend like taking what resonates with you and just leaving the rest, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what I've done. I've implemented all of the main pillars of the program because they are things that I resonate with and that I believe in. But for example, there are a couple of parts of the program that I just don't do. I've tweaked it and sort of modified it to what works the best for me. So I'd really encourage you to do DNRS or do GUPTA or another brain retraining program that you feel drawn to. because I think it's really helpful to have that structure of like, okay, I need to do this every day, and in order to create lasting neuroplastic changes in our brain, we need to be consistent, and we need to have that repetition and that consistency of rewiring our brain every day. And so that's why I think the program is very helpful in that regard, but it's not the only way that you can heal. There are definitely other ways to heal. I hope that this video was helpful. I'm planning to share a lot more resources and tips for brain retraining and nervous system regulation, so make sure to subscribe and follow along on Instagram, and I will look forward to seeing you guys again very soon.